Greetings all, today we're taking a look at my retro gaming setup. It's nothing too crazy or extravagant compared to a lot of guys on here. I just live in a crappy little apartment, but I thought it would still be kind of fun to show off and show a few friends how everything looks, basically. Yeah, let's get started. So first, I'll just show the desktop setup. Nothing too crazy. I just have a little Raspberry Pi right here. Cool little mini Nest case here. Works pretty good. It's just a Pi 3. And then you have your Evercade Versus, which is right here. This is pretty cool because this actually takes proprietary cartridges, and it actually takes 2 at a time. See there? And they look like this. Yeah, I used to have the handheld version, but I just never used it. I used this more, so I sold the handheld. Love this system, though. It's fun. And the cartridges are pretty cheap. When they're new, they're only about 20 bucks a piece. So here's the meat and potatoes of the setup, basically. Again, nothing too crazy, but it is functional. As you can see, starting out, we have a Emerson CRT with built-in DVD drive. Kind of nice, little 15-incher. It works. It looks good. Sensor bar up top here. It only has AV in the front, no S-video or anything like that, but I do eventually want to upgrade to something a little bit nicer. And then we got your fat PS2 down there. I need to clean that. I'm getting DK Oldies vibes from that. Got a regular NES. Very good condition. It's not yellowed at all. Yeah, good stuff. Been playing Dragon Warrior. I use this while I'm playing NES. It's a Hyperkin Cadet, I think. As you can see, it has butt cheeks on the back. Bottom's carved out, so it's very comfortable. And the buttons themselves are pretty high quality. Sega Genesis Model 2 with a Mega EverDrive. I'm using a Retrobit wireless controller. I'll get to that here in a minute. Got a modded Wii with pretty much everything under the sun on it. Model 1 Dreamcast. This doesn't have copy protection, so got pretty much everything under the sun on that as well. Super Retro Trio 3 Plus with a Super EverDrive. I got this just because I don't have a SNES, and it's nice to have the little extra bits on there too. Super Game Boy and stuff like that works. It's not 100% accurate because it is a clone, but I would say as far as the hardware-based clones, it's about as close as you'll get without getting something insanely expensive like an FPGA type deal. But it's cool. It's close enough, especially for SNES. It's got very crisp video quality too, even compared to the original. Also, I have everything running through this very nice little AV switch I just got off of Amazon. Pretty cheap, but very good quality. All metal. And I just labeled everything with painter's tape. It works. I've also got this cool little phone stand. Real rugged metal. And the reason why I have this is if I'm wanting to play, say, Vita with a controller or a Switch Lite with a controller, just set it on that. Or if I'm watching a UMD movie and I want to watch it on the unit itself, there you go. Very convenient, very nice. It pivots. And it's very stable. It's not going anywhere, even if I bump it. And here's where I keep most of the games and stuff, the handhelds and all that. The PS2 games are actually in another room. I'll get to that in a minute. But here we go. Here's the handhelds. We have your Zelda Game & Watch that came out recently. That's a cool little unit. Really small and pocketable. We got an original Donkey Kong Jr. Game & Watch. My wife had this when she was a kid growing up. And we have a Sega Saturn, I think it's Bluetooth, Sega Saturn Bluetooth controller. I use this on the Raspberry Pi and a lot of PC games like Street Fighter 5 and Tekken 7 and all that. Got the Vitas, 1000, 2000. Got that in blue. These are both imports. Japanese, for some reason, know how to take care of their shit better than Americans. Go figure. We got a 3DS XL. This is actually my wife's, but I keep it in here. We have a PSP 3000 in red, PSP 1000 in black. I actually bought this for 40 bucks. It was untested. All it needed was a battery. PSP Go. These are a son of a bitch to find now for a decent price. Even when you're paying quite a bit of money, they're still beat up. But I got very lucky with this. It's in pristine shape. No issues there at all. Got a couple Game Boys. Got your DMG. Game Boy Color. Got some little mini-cades. Galaga, Dig Dug, Centipede. We have a couple, I think they're called Super Impulse Tiny arcades in the back. Yeah, pretty sweet. We have the Evercade collection back there. I'll go in depth with that here in a minute. Cool little Castlevania bicycle card deck there. Really awesome Street Fighter Minicade. This is actually a pretty good version for what it is. It's got little cherry switches underneath the joystick, so it sort of feels authentic. These buttons actually feel really nice too. Boxes right there, just DVDs and random stuff behind that. Pop figures if you want to see that. These drawers are pretty much just where I stash all the controllers. I got a stupid amount. I'll show you a few after the session. More controllers. Arcade sticks. And this shelf is where I keep the few PS2 games that I have. As you can see there, I'll go through each one. But yeah, as you can see, space is kind of an issue. So we have our Switch collection here, PS4 games. Just a bunch of random stuff, some Blu-rays down there. So you think I have enough controllers? That's not even all of them, but let's go through each one really fast. Starting with Super Nintendo, believe it or not, compared to back in the day, third-party Super Nintendo controllers have gotten much nicer. It's really not hard to find a good controller for the Super Nintendo. Starting off, we have a 8BitDo SFC30. This is their Bluetooth controller, so you would need an adapter for this if you wanted to play it on the actual hardware. But this is an amazing controller. You can't really get it anymore, unfortunately, but this is literally the closest to an original SNES controller you're going to get without getting the real thing. And here's their new iteration. This one is their 2.4 gigahertz version. I just got this because I didn't want to purchase the adapter, and I kind of like the way it looks. It looks pretty cool. It is not as nice as this one, but it's pretty close. It's still my main controller I use to play Super Nintendo with. Responsive buttons. No issues there. The D-pad's okay. It's not as accurate when you pivot as it is with this, so throwing Hadoukens or whatever is a little bit more difficult. You can still do it. It just takes a little bit more effort. You just have to be a little more careful. And again, this feels exactly like the original. The way it responds, the way it feels, everything. This came with the Super Retro Trio 3 Plus. That's a mouthful. You can also get these separate. You would think something like this that came with a clone system would be a piece of junk. No, these are actually very nice for what they are. Very nicely contoured. Very responsive. Springy buttons. A D-pad that pivots fairly decent. Nice shoulder buttons. Very comfortable. You can play this for an extensive amount of time and be just fine. No issues with this at all. It's not my first choice, but if you happen to come across one of these and you're in a pinch, you know, I think they're only like $10 or something. You can't really go wrong. Another retro bit controller. This is really cool. You can see it's Street Fighter branding. It has very clicky shoulder buttons. But again, very nice feeling. It feels similar to original Super Nintendo controller. A little bit cheaper, the plastic is, but it's still nice. The D-pad especially actually pivots very well, so it's very good for fighting games. One knock I have to give it is the edges on this, where the seams are, I actually had to sand them down. They were kind of poking out a little too far. So, yeah, that's a knock I have to give it there, but still pretty cool. I think these are 10 to 15 bucks as well. And this will also plug in to USB. So, SNES or USB, same plug as this little splitter here. And last but not least, we have this Hyperkin. I can't remember all the names of these things. It's premium controller. I think this is the Scout. Now this one's cool though because it has butt cheeks on the back like the NES controller. Again, very springy buttons, nice feeling, very ergonomic for a SNES controller, just as ergonomic as this, if not even more. The D-pad is it's kind of stiff. It doesn't pivot very well, so I don't use this. It's okay for platformers and stuff, but if you need any kind of real precision, like in a fighting game or I don't know. Fighting game, that I can't think of anything else, but if you need precision, fighting game, sports game, something like that, I would look elsewhere. This is just okay, but I really love the feel of this. Here are a couple Dreamcast controllers. These are the only ones I have for the Dreamcast. I would like to get my hands on the Retro Fighters pad. It looks much more comfortable, but yeah, needs no introduction. They work. D-pad's crap, but it functions. This one's worn out quite a bit just from use. This one is almost in brand spanking new condition. I love this. Again, crappy D-pad like always. Not the most comfortable controller, especially with this crap behind it. Sega Genesis. So, let's get the obligatory fat boy out of the way. We all know what it is. Good stuff. Pretty solid. Not my first choice, but yeah, it needs no introduction. Have to have at least one. Here's the original 6-button pad. Good stuff. Once again, you guys, if you're watching this, you know what this thing is. But one of my favorite controllers of all time. Superb D-pad. Super great for fighting games. Here is a Hyperkin Scout, or not Scout, I don't know what the hell I'm going to stop trying to figure out what their names are, but this is a decent controller. Very fat, but very ergonomic. It's really comfortable. Good for stuff like sports titles or platformers. Not so much for fighting games. I feel like the D-pad is just not as responsive as I would like. But very nice in the hand regardless. Pretty rugged too. Like, I feel like if you threw this, it's not going to break. And my favorite of the bunch is something that really surprised me. Retrobit made both of these. And I've actually got another video going a little bit more in detail with these. But they are pretty much replicas of the original 6-button pads. They're even licensed by Sega. They feel amazing. Pretty much as close as you're going to get to the real thing, I think. The D-pad, believe it or not, I guess because it's newer, feels nicer to me than the original. The original feels like it's a little bit more worn in, obviously, because, I mean, it is 30-something years old now, but very awesome. I can't really fault this for anything. Feels solid. Yeah. And this is the exact same thing, but it's wireless. This one's the 2.4 gigahertz. Very good battery life, actually. Comes with this cool case. Has 2 dongles, both for USB and then for the Genesis itself. It's plugged in, of course. But yeah, this feels every bit as good as this. I love these. This is the main controller I use when I play Genesis. Wii and GameCube, do I really need to talk about these? Probably not, but I'll give it a couple seconds. So, yep, Wii Motion Plus, Nunchuck, 2 classic controllers. I will say, I actually like this one more than this one, contrary to everybody else. I know it has the handles or whatever, but this just feels really cheap and chintzy. And despite this not having handles, I actually think this feels nicer. Yeah. And then game controller, one of the best of all time. This one is in pristine condition too. Love it. NES controllers. I kind of flip-flop between what my favorite is, to be honest, because, I mean, it's hard to beat the original. Feels great. You can probably kill somebody with it if you threw it. Yeah. Rugged as hell. Now these, though, these Hyperkin controllers, I liked them so much, I got 2 of them. One, because I wanted the same color scheme as this, and then I just happened to find this. I found this in a store, found this online. But yeah, you have these contours here where the bottom's cut out. That's the cat meowing if you can hear him. You got butt cheeks on the back here on both of these. Very nice. Very responsive. These membranes on these buttons feel a little bit more stiff than these. This controller here actually feels a little bit more close to the original as far as how the buttons respond. So I like the feel of this one better, but I like the look of this one better. But yeah, 10-foot cable too, so very nice. This one's just okay. It's a cool little novelty, as you can see. Buttons are in kind of a funky spot, but it doesn't feel bad, actually. Now, my issue with it, though, is not these buttons, but this D-pad. It's extremely stiff, and I can't play with it for a long period of time. It just gets a little tiring on your thumb. It's way too damn stiff. But again, it's a cool little novelty, so I got it. And for PS2, I just have these. Nothing crazy. I want to get the Logitech wireless one again. I used to have one. Had an amazingly accurate D-pad. But these are cool. And lastly, this is pretty much my favorite controller of all time. It just feels perfect in the hands. Perfect button layout for fighting games. Perfect D-pad. Nice clicky triggers. This one's Bluetooth. This one's also a replica by Retrobit. I can't believe how well they've made these. Both this and the Genesis controllers. They just knocked it out of the park with these. And this is the controller that you play the Evercade Versus on. The Evercade does work with other controllers, but this one's good enough. The D-pad's decent. The buttons are alright. The shape is kind of weird, but it works fine. I don't really have any complaints about it. Nice long cable. Yeah, and I'm just playing it at my desk, so whatever. Here's a Hori EX2 fighting stick. I just use this for PC, USB. I actually put both Seimitsu buttons in here, as well as a Seimitsu joystick, so it's very, very nice compared to how it is stock. Really responsive, kind of firm compared to like Sanwa's, but I like it. Now it doesn't get much more awesome than this. NES Advantage, of course. I love playing shmups with this. Gradius, Galaga, Dragon Spirit, Life Force, whatever. This thing is amazing. And the final controller, whatever, that I want to show you is this. Last and definitely not least, this is basically Sega's answer to the NES Advantage. Built like a freaking tank. Really nice responsive buttons. Nice big ball top stick. It returns to its zero position very nicely. I actually did not know this even existed until a long time ago I saw a video from Classic Game Room showing it off. Please come back, Classic Game Room. Anyway, the main reason why I wanted this, well, of course there's shmups, but Eternal Champions has really stupid button combinations that you pretty much, some moves you just can't pull off without it. So like stupid crap like hold A and Z and hit up, and yeah. So you pretty much have to have this if you want to take full advantage of the move set on Eternal Champions. So I got this. Love it. So for PSP, because of course they're very easy to mod, I don't have a ton of stuff. I only really go after stuff that I'm really nostalgic for, or if it just costs basically nothing. Here's one that I'm really nostalgic for. For several years, this is basically my life as a movie. I love Office Space. I had to have this. Gotta have some Tony Hawk action. It's kind of weird because the main reason why I got this is the ISO file. I thought something was just wrong with playing the ISO. You can't do the 180 spin tap, so I got this just to see if it was the ISO or the game itself. It's the game itself. I guess they just didn't actually put that in the game, even though it's in the manual. Still pretty awesome, though. It's just a little bit harder than the original. It's actually in one of my PSPs right now. Gotta have Dracula X Chronicles. Me and my wife are actually trying to collect as much Castlevania stuff as possible, slowly but surely. We're mainly just trying to find stuff out in the wild, not really hunting for it online unless we just find an offer we can't refuse, but I love this. Comes with Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood, of course, and the remake. Got that complete. And here are mostly UMD movies. Got them for pretty much nothing, like $1 or $2 a piece. I've not seen most of these. I never even heard of this. The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. National Treasure 2. I plan on watching this. Gotta watch it. It has Nicolas Cage in it. And I have 2 copies of this actually, because they were only a couple bucks. Probably gonna flip one. But Frogger, it came with one of my PSPs. Never actually played this. Dissidia Final Fantasy. Really fun, unique game. Napoleon Dynamite, the game. This is another one that was basically nothing. I thought I was actually getting the UMD movie. I didn't realize it was the game until later. Really weird game, too. It's like Taiko no Tatsujin almost, except not good. And The Punisher. Grouping the few handheld things together for obvious reasons. Flash Cart. I don't even know what the game color. It's like an Everdrive GB, except not. Does the same thing, though. And then, of course, Tetris. Need I say more? A couple Castlevania games. We have Castlevania Adventure, and then Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge. I really want to get my hands on Legends and Kid Dracula still, but I probably never will. But here's the hoping. And then Castlevania Portrait of Ruin Loose. Wish we had the case. Nintendogs. I don't know where this came from or why we have it, but it's here. And for Super Nintendo, I don't have too much, but I did grab the ones I'm really nostalgic for, mainly because I have the Super Everdrive from Crix. Stay safe out there, Crix. Comes with this cool little Genesis-style case, too. Pretty sweet. This is the X5 version. So it can't do the Super Effects chip games, but I mean, it does everything else pretty much, so good stuff. Alright, as you can see, Super Game Boy. That flash cart that I showed a second ago, it works on this too, so pretty awesome. Tetris Attack, my favorite puzzle game of all time. Battle Cars, if you like F-Zero, try this. Killer Instinct, no introduction needed. Mortal Kombat 2. One of my favorite platformers of all time, Donkey Kong Country. The first one beats them all, I think. Wario's Woods. Super Castlevania 4. More Castlevania goodness. Tetris and Dr. Mario. As for the Genesis games, most of these are actually my wife's. She just had them growing up. Some of these I just got for basically nothing. I mostly don't collect Genesis simply because I have this EverDrive X7. This even plays Master System games on it, so pretty awesome. This is the pause button for the Master System right here. NHL 94. I think I have the card over here somewhere. Yeah. NHL 94. Love these plastic boxes. Good game. PGA Tour Golf 2. NHL 95. Genesis is where it's at if you want a good sports game. I don't play sports games now, but the 16-bit and 8-bit stuff, fun as hell. This is complete, has the poster and everything. Look at that, as I drop everything. NBA Jam, I got this because I had to have it. NBA Jam TE. One of my favorite games of all time. It's complete. Cartridge is in immaculate condition. Lion King. Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. Pac-Man 2. Columns. F-22 Interceptor. Sonic 2. T2. Sonic Spinball. Sonic 1 pack-in version. And Booger. Now for Evercade games in no particular order. Renovation Collection 1. Indie Heroes Collection 1. This is a really cool card. Jalico Collection 1. Technos Collection 1. Pico Collection 1. If you're going to get an Evercade, get this first. Data East Arcade Collection 1. Technos Arcade Collection 1. Indie Heroes Collection 2. This just came out recently and I love this. Alwa's Awakening Cathedral. Cathedral's the first native Evercade game and I love it. It's kind of like a mix of Castlevania and Shovel Knight. Mega Cat Studios Collection 1. Got some cool stuff on it. Coffee Crisis. Metal Jesus, I think, is on there, if I remember right. Interplay Collection 1. This is usually a pack-in. It's okay. Data East Collection 1. Love me some Data East. Burger Time, Bad Dudes. Atari Collection 1. This was another pack-in, I believe. Good collection, though. Ninja Golf. And being that the Wii is modded, we don't actively collect GameCube or Wii, but we do have a couple. We have everyone's favorite Metroid game, Other M. Yep, everyone's favorite. Excite Truck, because for some reason I couldn't get this to actually run the ISO. This is a fun game. Sengoku Bizarre, I don't remember why I have this, but it's a pretty awesome game. First, Metroid Prime. Complete, and that's in the system right now. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Complete. The case is a little banged up, but complete. Wind Waker. Good shape. Also complete. And then Harvest Moon. And I don't know if that's complete or not, I don't think it is. The PS2 is not modded, but the games are so cheap and easy to get. If I feel like I want to play a certain PS2 game, I'll just go pick it up. Ridge Racer 5, complete. see, a loose copy of Dirge of Cerberus. I'm not even going to try to open that. It's like, feels like it's glued shut. Gran Turismo 3, Burnout 3, Essential, complete. Draken, that's my wife's game. I know nothing about it. Katamari Damacy, love it. Shadow of the Colossus, never played it. Know nothing about it. I know everybody loves it though. Tony Hawk Underground 1, complete. Tony Hawk Underground 2, complete. American Wasteland, complete as well. Project 8. I like Tony Hawk if you couldn't tell. Pro Skater 4. Pro Skater 3 is hiding there somewhere. Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution. I absolutely love this game. Sega needs to bring that series back. Tekken Tag. This is basically what made me want a PS2 to begin with back in the day. Here's Tony Hawk 3. It's probably my favorite Tony Hawk out of all of them. Burnout Revenge. Solid game. Wish everything wasn't yellow though. Kind of weird. SSX 3. Best snowboarding game ever. I think it's better than Tricky. Everybody loves Tricky. I love this one. Spent so many hours on that. Of course, Castlevania Curse of Darkness, and I gotta clean this case up and get a hold of the manual. Maximo, fun game. I think it was a launch title. Either launch or close to launch. It's a spin-off of Ghosts and Goblins. Klonoa 2. Solid platformer. That's another character that needs to come back. Tekken 4. It's in the PS2 right now. We Love Katamari. I've actually not played this one. And then finally, Okami, which I've also not played this one. This is my wife's game. I do eventually want to play it though. It looks really cool. And last and definitely not least, my NES collection. This is the one system I am actively collecting for, besides obviously PS2, Switch, all that. This is what I have the most fun with. I don't know why, I guess it's just a level of nostalgia, and I mean, look at these things. Anyway, Batman, Galaga, Castlevania, and I try to get as good a shape as possible whenever I can. Dragon Spirit, solid shooter. This one's my wife's, but it's a fun game. I don't have the Zapper though. Hogan's Alley. Codename Viper. This is like Capcom's take on Rolling Thunder. Got the manual too. Ice Hockey. I prefer Blades of Steel, but this is still solid. It's either you like Ice Hockey or you like Blades of Steel, one or the other. Nemo the Dream Master. I cannot figure this bitch out. Everybody loves it though. Thundercade. Kid Cool. Ghosts and Goblins. You gotta have that. Blaster Master. Gotta have that. Dr. Chaos. Never played it. It's my wife's. Star Tropics. Underrated as hell. Love that RPG. Bonnet Commando. Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. I don't think it deserves all the hate it gets. I actually really love this. It's my first one that I ever played too, so that probably gives me the nostalgia goggles for it. Vegas Dream. I got this for $1. Karnov. Love me some Karnov. Casino Kid. Another copy of Ice Hockey. And this is Gotcha. I don't know. Some LJN game. Mario 3. My favorite hockey game, Blades of Steel. Chip and Dale, one of the best platformers for the NES. Play this if you haven't. Another one of the best, Tiny Toon Adventures. Mario Duck Hunt. And TMNT 1. Still need to get 2 and 3. And finally, the crown jewel of my entire collection is a complete copy of Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. I'm so happy to have this. It has even the styrofoam insert in it still. I'm not about to unbox this, but just, yeah, look at it. Alright, a couple more little things and then I'll shut up. So these are promotional VHS tapes that Nintendo Power sent that I kept hold of. I've had these since I was a kid. Super happy to still have them. And they still work. I watched this one in particular over and over when I was a kid until I got the game. And also seeing that teaser at the very end of the arcade version of Killer Instinct was just awesome. Love this. And then here is Banjo-Kazooie promotional. And finally, I wanted to show this in case anybody's wondering how I have stuff standing up on the shelf like my handhelds. These are these little baseball card stands, and you can adjust them. This moves back and forth, and you just adjust it for whatever you're using, and you just gently lay it on there, and there you go. And it's pretty sturdy. If I bump it, obviously it's going to fall, but if it's on a shelf, as long as you're not like a total klutz, it's fine. They're pretty sturdy. So there you have it. There was my collection and my setup. I hope it was at least mildly entertaining to look at. And if you have any questions about it, or if you just want to chat, go for it. Leave a comment. And until next time, horns up.